Hey guys, it's Penguin here and welcome back to another gold making video. In today's video, I am excited to bring to you one of the most anticipated videos of this series, I feel like. First off, let me say this is officially part 4 of our Dragonflight series, and this video in particular is going to be all about work orders. With that being said, in today's video, we are going to be covering everything you need to know with the current work order system. But as always, if this is your first time seeing the series, I am going to be assuming that you know the knowledge that are in the past few videos. So if you have not seen video 1 through 3, you're interested in the crafting systems, you're interested in specializations, knowledge points, profession combos, all of that, I highly recommend going to check out the previous videos. Also, as always, keep in mind this is beta. This video is edited, recorded, and published during the beta scene, and for this video in particular, the very first rendition of work orders. So we may see a few things change, however, the basic structure should remain the same. But with all of those disclaimers out of the way, we can jump right into this video. As always, guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope it is worth your time. Grab a snack, grab a coffee, get your restocking done, and I hope you enjoy this video. And alright, before we get too excited and dive into the in-game stuff, we're going to have to go over just some logistics and just some explanation on what work orders actually are. And as a simple analogy, I kind of like to say that the new work order system is basically a social distance trade chat. You're taking away the actual human interaction, and you're letting this middleman help process everything a little bit smoother. Now, I know that does not give us a lot of information, so we're going to break this down by 2 different categories. So we're going to break this down by 2 different sides. We have side number 1, which will be the placers or the buyers. It really depends on what you want to call them, but it will be the people who are actually putting in a crafting or work order. And so what these people are doing is going to an interface, which we will see in just a little bit. They will be searching for an item that they want to own. Normally these items are BOPs, so your high-level mythic gear, your special sort of maybe a knowledge point scribe items, maybe a special toy, pet, anything that is normally bound on pickup, they can request it in the system. So they look up the item, they find it on the list, and then they have a few options. They can choose if they want to actually give some reagents towards this craft or not. Some people may have things gathered, some people may not. They can adjust any sort of optional reagents they need. Then lastly, they put in a commission. So that commission is basically the payment of the receiver, of the crafter, which we'll talk about in just a second, and then they publish it to the world. So to go back to our analogy, think about somebody saying, hey, I want to buy, linked item in trade chat, or hey, I'm looking for a maxed out leatherworker, something like that in trade chat. You're basically doing this, but in a customized interface. Then on the opposite end, you have the crafters. Now the crafters have a little bit more of an easier job, where all they have to do is go to their crafting station. So an enchanter will go to the enchanting crafting station, etc., and they can open up the crafting order menu. Then they can simply just look at the orders that they might be able to fulfill, they meet those requirements, and see that the commissions and everything that the buyer or the placer is supplying. And they can accept that order. They have 30 minutes to actually process that order, so 30 minutes to collect any necessary materials, craft the item, and actually submit it. Then, just like that, the crafter gets paid, and then that crafted item gets sent to the buyer. Once again, thinking back to our analogy, think about as, a buyer has said, hey, I'm looking for a leatherworker who can craft this item, or I want to buy this item. And then, a crafter, you do a little /whisper and you say, hey, I got you, or hey, let me link you my leatherworking tree or whatever. And it's kind of that same sort of thing, but instead of having to be active online at the exact same time, you kind of have this middleman crafting system that is helping everybody out. And so that is kind of my little bit of an overview. Now, as always, I do want to state that, like I've said before, I'm relating the system to Trade Chat. This system is not supposed to replace the auction house, and it is not. Currently, the work order system or crafting order system is focusing on BOPs. So BOPs, you can't put them on the auction house anyways. And of course, your traditional BOE items, your enchants, your potions, your food is of course still sold mainly through the auction house. Now, I know we want to get in game, so I apologize, this is a longer video, but there is one more thing we need to talk about. And this is that there are currently two different types of work orders. We have public work orders as well as private. Generally, they are almost the same thing with one caveat. So the public work order system is what I just talked about. As a placer, you go, you place your order, and that order goes out to everybody on your realm or connected realms if you're on a cluster. So I can send out my order and a random crafter I did not know even existed picks up my order and finishes crafting it for me. Then you have the private work order, which is more of a personal experience, and this is sent to somebody directly. So maybe you have a guildmate who can craft this item, maybe you have a BattleNet friend or a real-life friend that who knows, maybe you even have a YouTuber on your realm who can craft that item, and you want to send it to them personally. That means you can send them that direct order, and only they can fulfill it. Now you may be asking, why would anybody want to do this personal order? And the main difference is that you can actually specify the quality of an item in a personal order. We talked about the quality system in the first video of this series, but that means if you want a, tier 5 quality item only, you will not accept a quality 4, etc., then you have to place a private order. You gotta be picky who you want to actually craft that item. And alright, with that being said, let's actually jump in game. Now currently I am on one of my tiger senses. Sorry, there we go. There's a little bit of a loading lag. That was not YouTube. I apologize about that. But in game we are on one of our tiger senses. This will make a lot more sense in just a second. And so this tiger sense wants to place an order. So this person can go to Valdraken. Currently I'm in the major city inside of the Artisans Market, which is kind of the crafting arena, and they can make their way to the same sort of order hall area and they can place an order. So if we go here to our best friend, here we go. As you can see, this looks a lot like the auction house, which is awesome, and we have our options. So let's just say I am looking for a profession equipment. And here we go. Let's say I want this BOP tailoring accessory gear. As we know from the last video, this is actually the best in slot for tailorers. So I'm a tailorer, it works out perfectly. I really want this item. Now, because I don't have any friends, I'm just going to make this a public order, and now I have a few options. Now, if I had the items, which as you can see, I actually do not have any of these items to provide, but if I did, I could check this off and provide those items. For example, I do have 5 of the metals. I believe I need 25 in order to actually provide them, but let's say I did, I could choose to provide them if I wanted. But at least I know, kind of the cost of the item based on this list of reagents. Then what I can decide to do, yet again, I am making this a public order, which means I cannot determine the quality that I want. If I made this a private order, I could specify exactly who it's sent to, and then of course determine the quality from anything all the way up to 5, but we're not going to do that, so we'll do a public, and then I can write a note and saying, hey, I would really like a tier 2, plus, if you want to try to be nice, you could also say please craft super fast, you know, whatever your heart desires, and then you have your commission. Now this is what is going to the crafter themselves, and so this is kind of where the, you know, important and kind of hard part can be for the placer, because you may be sitting here and saying, okay, you know, I don't have any of these items, so I can't provide anything, but I don't really know what these cost, right? Especially if you don't have an add-on like TSM or Auctionator, you might not know what the going price for Chronocloth bolts are. So what Blizzard has done is added a similar orders system. Now, of course, keep in mind this is beta, so people price things at crazy amounts just for testing, but as we can see, currently there are 2 other work orders for this item. Somebody is giving a 2,000 gold commission and providing none of the reagents. Hey, that sounds like me. And somebody is also providing some of the reagents and also giving a 2k commission. So with this knowledge, I could say, hey, you know what, I really want to get this done fast. Let me up my commission to 8,000 gold, right? Because I want to be, you know, the best looking work order, so if a crafter wants to make some gold, hopefully they choose mine first. Of course, you can pick up your duration, so do you want this work order to be lasting 12 hours, 24, or 48, just like an auction house posting, and then of course there is a little bit of a fee, and then we can place. Now, a very important thing to note is once you hit place, the items, if any, are taken out of your inventory if you provide them, and then of course your gold is also taken. So if we place the order, as you can see that 8k was taken, I didn't provide any items, so, you know, it didn't take anything, but that could be something to think about. And then once you place the order, it automatically takes you to kind of this My Orders section. So I'll make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to read, but these are just some orders that I have placed in the past. As you can see, I have posted 2 public orders, I believe this was yesterday morning, and they actually were completed. I also posted 2 personal orders which were completed. One of my public was expired, and this is the one that I currently have listed. I can of course click on this and hit cancel if I needed to. Now that is kind of how this system works. Now we picked a less complicated item, so let's say we wanted ourselves a really awesome, you know, mythic level gear. So let's say I'm a monk, let's say I just want a mace, what about that? So I click on this item, and as you can see, the interface is a little bit different. What you will notice, which is a huge thing to keep in mind, is that BOP, like mythic high-level quality reagents, you as a placer must provide. So things like the artisan metals, even though they were BOP, they are not kind of this high-level mythic quality items, so you don't have to provide them. But if you are trying to craft one of these items, anything in red you have to actually provide. So, because I don't have any of these, I could never actually place this order, but it is saying, hey, you gotta provide this, you know, you gotta go collect this. And then of course, I do have the option, okay, do you want to provide the alloy? Of course, I don't have any, but I did have the option right there. I still have the note, I still have the commission, and it basically works the same. Now you will notice that we do have optional reagents, and at the current moment, the placer also has to provide the optional reagents. So for example, if I wanted to, you know, this by default is a 382, if I wanted to craft this into like a 408 or a 418, I would have to provide this extra reagent. Now the ways to actually get these items are still a little bit unknown, but you would have to provide them. Or for example, if I want to buff a specific, you know, secondary stat, I would have to provide that as well. Same thing with any sort of additional embellishments. Now, I'm not sure if this will stay, you know, required, but that is currently how it's working right now. Then, like I said before, you have your similar orders, which there are none currently, but you could look at that if you wanted. And there we go, we have officially showcased the work orders on the actual placers or buyer's side. Now, in order to showcase the actual crafter side, I want to actually show you a scenario that we can do right now. So in order to show off the, providing reagents, we're going to go grab a little bit of a vendor item to here. So yet again, remember, I am still a buyer. I'm a placer. I'm somebody who wants an item. So I go here and let's say I need a enchanting profession equipment. Now, one thing to note is that currently BOE items are available through this list. I don't know if those BOE items are here just for testing or some BOEs will be used through the system. We're not sure on that, but the system is mainly for BOPs. However, there may be BOEs, we're just not sure. But in this case, we are actually crafting a BOE, so technically I could buy this off the auction house, but hey, we're doing this for testing. So I am here and said, hey, I can't craft this myself, but I really want this enchanting tool. Now, thankfully, because I do have that item, of course, I could have not provided it if I wanted, but because I do have that item, I'm going to provide some of the reagents. I don't have any dust, so, the crafter has to deal with that. Now, because I have an alt who can craft this item, you can say this is your friend, you can say whoever, but this is a good thing to note, is that alts can indeed fulfill your own order, but we're going to send it directly to them. So we're going to send it to Tiger Sense, but on the other connected realm. Because of this, I have the opportunity to provide a minimum quality, and let's say I'm like, hey, I at least want a quality 4, I'm a bit picky, I want that 4. And you're gonna leave a little bit of a note, because this is your best friend, you gotta be nice, so we're just gonna say, there we go, right? We're just gonna provide a little bit of a note. Are there any sort of listings? No, there's not. And let's just say, hey, I'll give you 2,000 gold. You know what? I give my friend 12 hours, and here we go. We are going to place our order. As you will notice, once we hit place, the gold as well as the item is taken away from our inventory. And we currently have it listed for a personal order of 12 hours. And so here we are. We are on the other Tiger Sense. They are twins. I know they look very similar, but we are now on the crafter side of things. So keep in mind, we are now looking at this through another point of view. Now, like I said before, crafters have to go to their crafting stations to have access for work orders. What this means is you can be anywhere where there is a crafting station available. So unlike the buyer where they have to be in Valdrakken to place an order, you could technically be in the Waking Shores, right at the start of the game where there's some, stations right there, and start crafting stuff. Or who knows, maybe you're hanging out with the Tuskars over here, whatever you want to do, you just have to have access to a station. But it does not have to be in Valdrakken. But because we are an enchanter, we go up to our station, and as you guys will notice, we have a new tab. So no longer do we just have recipes and specializations, we also have crafting orders. Now, by default, these orders, you will be looking at public orders, and you will be looking at the items that you can craft that are, of course, able to be used through the system. So if we do a quick refresh of everything, as you can see, there is actually somebody who is looking for this item crafted. It's something that I can indeed craft, and they're providing some of the reagents. If we hover over, look, they're providing some herb and, the chromatic dust, and we're getting a 3,000 gold commission. We click on this, and as we can see, all right, so they have left us no note, so that's fine. Their commission is 3k. There is a consortium cut, so we will get about 2,800 if we actually complete this order, and they are providing the dust as well as the herb. However, we need to provide the draconium ore. No sort of optional reagents, and that is alright. Now quickly, because, Blizzard is super nice, we can see our crafting stats. So if we were to craft this item, we will make it at like a quality 3. So technically this person could have said, hey, I would love it to be a quality 4. I could look at here and be like, you know what, I can't craft it a quality 4. Technically, I could still accept, but I could be, nice and decline. I personally don't have any draconium ore. I personally don't have any draconium ore. There's not even any on the auction house, so sorry, I cannot, fulfill that order. But it's there if I wanted to. Now, a huge thing to note, let me make this bigger, is that there are a daily limit for public orders. Currently, that limit for every single day is 30 public orders, but I would not, hyper focus on that 30 number, as it's probably likely to change a little bit. Now, what you could do is, if you were just curious, you can hit show unlearned, and this is kind of everybody's work orders. So even though I can't actually craft this battle pet, I can look and be like, oh, there's actually a good market, so maybe I should go and learn this, etc. But these are the unlearnable, or the things that I can't actually craft that, I might want to do. Lastly, let's go to our personal orders. Now keep in mind there is no limit to personal orders, which is another bonus of them. So if you are a well-known crafter, you could be very, very busy, crafting your heart out with all these orders. But I can look and say, hey, somebody has sent me a private order. It's by TigerSense, what a lovely name, and let's see what they want. So first of all, just right off the bat, we can see the item and quality that they're looking for. We can see their commission, and of course, if they're providing anything. We can select that, and they left us this lovely note, and they're providing the vendor item. How kind of them. We're going to get about 1900 gold for crafting, and actually, because our skill is so high, we're going to guarantee a quality 5. They want a minimum quality of 4, so hey, we can actually do that. Now let's say we didn't have time, we didn't like the price, we could not craft the quality, whatever it is, we could decline, but in this case, we're going to start. Once we hit start, as you can see, we can cancel if necessary, but we have a 30-minute timer. Then if we had the items in our inventory, which we do now, we can simply just hit create. If we didn't have this dust, we might have to go to the auction house, craft some other things, but since we're right here, we can hit create. Then it will craft, and boom, there we go. It is now going to kind of complete that order. We can decide to send a message if we want. We could say, there we go, and complete our order. We have just gotten paid, and that item is officially sent off to whoever, requested that item. And that is really how this system works. Keep in mind, depending on your skill level, depending on your notability, you may have a ton of personal orders, or you may be able to fulfill a ton of public orders. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys is on the other character, so give me 1 second. And okay, we are back on TigerSense. Maybe we took a quick 15-minute nap, and we are here and we can check our mailbox. And first of all, we have that expired order that, nobody actually did, so I did supply some items, but we got our 6K and we got those spool back. But taking a look, oh, somebody fulfilled our order. Hey, this was our private order. They left me a nice message, and there we go, we have our item. We can go ahead and equip this if we want. And there we go. That is how this full system works. Now, one thing I should note is that there is a special work order. I did not talk about it much because I believe this is going to likely get a little bit of a rework, but this is the recrafting ability. So recrafting basically means that you can turn an item into something better, whether you are trying to increase the stats, you're trying to change the stats, whatever you're trying to do, you can recraft an item. So for example, apologize, I changed the item to just have a better example. Let's say we're trying to empower this, right? So we're trying to up the item level. We don't want this to be a 306, we want this to be a 372. So we could apply that and submit for a reorder. Maybe we want to apply different stats, we can do that as well. Now, one thing to note is, of course, definitely if you're placing a public order, you know something could go wrong, you know quality might go down. Now, even if the quality does go down, depending on what you're trying to do, it could still end up being a better item. For example, if this was like a quality 5, base level item, and you try to add one of these and it turns into a quality 2, that quality 2 of this high level item is going to be better than a quality 5 of a base one. That's just something to keep in mind. And alright, I know I just said that was the final thing, but I do want to mention one more thing because I just want to leave you guys on a note that you might want to actually think about. And this is the reasons why crafters want to do the work order system, or want to, participate in the system. Of course, the first and obvious one is to get gold, right? If somebody is offering a good commission, that is awesome, they can make some gold. Secondly, you may be able to save cost on leveling up your profession. For example, if there is an item that you can craft that will skill you up, maybe it's a first bonus craft which will grant you, a knowledge point. If you can get somebody to pay you to make that item, or even if you even out, right, their commission is as much as the materials cost, whatever happens, you could save some gold by actually leveling up your profession. So, you craft an item for somebody and you gain 1 skill out of that. Then lastly, the biggest thing is that the work order system has achievements. Now, of course, achievements will be nice for any collector, but the big thing is that the first 3 tiers of the achievements grants you knowledge points. Currently, those numbers is completing 100 work orders, completing 250, and lastly, completing 500 work orders. Each time you hit one of those milestones, you are going to get 10 dragon shards, which we mentioned in the knowledge point video, which 10 dragon shards will grant you about 3 points each, meaning that's up to 30 knowledge points every time you hit a milestone. So by the time you complete 500 work orders, you might have gained 90 knowledge just from this system. So that is something to think about too, because it's not just playing for gold. Yes, of course, gold is going to be the main reason why crafters, accept orders, but who knows, maybe you do it for a hit on gold, but you gain knowledge. So that is just something to think about, and I'm going to leave the video here. So everybody, hopefully this helped. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and as always, have a good day.